Good afternoon to all of you, members of the Pope Estate. Good afternoon to our compatriots who are following this edition of the press briefing via the radio stations, community radio stations, the state broadcaster, and those who are following via the internet as well. It is always a pleasing duty and an honor. Kamala, please control the movement. It is always a duty and an honor for me to be here with the support of all members of the senior management team at the Ministry of Information, keeping this platform alive as the premier communication channel for the government of Liberia. So, this Tuesday, the 30th day of September, the year 2025, and today we have one of the entities of the government that is not in the business of running the activities in the public. The Ministry of Defense, even though there's an administrative aspect of that ministry, but we all know the Ministry of Defense is considered a serious business. But they have come to talk about some of the activities that the ministry is undertaking, and the director of press read through those activities. I would just want to lay emphasis on them. The upcoming recruitment exercise for the armed forces of Liberia, the renovation of barracks across the country, border patrol in several counties, including Gombe, Bakolo, and Grand Cape Mount, under the team Operation True Guardian. And you also follow, some of you who follow social media lately, you also follow that the AFL is in the Sando National Park, an area that is supposed to be a reserve, but there was some intrusion, and people were carrying on all sorts of activities in the Sando National Park. So the AFL intervened, and I'm told order has been restored. So the year to talk about all of these activities. On behalf of the senior management team, the IT Minister, Honorable Johnny Tapa, I'd like to welcome you, Dr. Augustine T. Lame and your team, to the Ministry of Information. I know when you entered the ministry, you were impressed. I said that this place has been transformed. Well, this is what we do. When we're speaking for the government of Liberia, we can't speak from a filthy and dilapidated building. So, with the legal resources that we receive from the government of Liberia and the support, we are bringing this place up to standard, and I want to appreciate you for the commendation that you made to us in private. Usually, before we invite you to speak, we'll do some housekeeping for the government, and so I will now want to proceed, asking for the undivided attention of members of the press as we go through what we have here. Today is a very special day for all journalists in the country. The umbrella organization for all journalists, the Press Union of Liberia, is celebrating its 61st anniversary. Last week, we had the president of the PUL here, and he spoke. His presence here is a testament to the collaboration between the Ministry of Information and all journalists in the country. So I'd like to seize this moment to now announce, on behalf of the Liberian government, through the Ministry of Information, that we extend warmest congratulations to all members and officials of the Press Union of Liberia as they celebrate the 61st anniversary of the Press Union of Liberia. We are also told that the anniversary is being celebrated on the theme commemorating our past, constructing the future. MICA congratulates the PUL for its long-standing tradition in working with the government of Liberia through the Ministry of Information in upholding press freedom. The government reiterates its unwavering commitment on this 61st anniversary of the PUL to continuously work with the Press Union of Liberia in upholding and creating an enabling environment for media sustainability and freedom. On behalf of the entire government, the Ministry of Information wishes the PUL happy, prosperous anniversary. As you are already aware, His Excellency, President Bouakai and delegation will arrive in country this evening at 5 p.m. after a successful conclusion of his official visit to the United States of America. While in the United States, President Bouakai actively participated in the 80th section of the United Nations General Assembly, at which time he held bilateral and multilateral meetings to mobilize support for Liberia's development agenda, and later launched the Liberia Diaspora Conference, which is intended to rally all Liberians abroad to remain engaged in the national developmental programs. Upon his return this evening, the President will attend an intercessory service in his honor at the Life Center Church on Benson Avenue, Lower Margibi County, along the Morovia River Street Highway. Now, we'll follow these announcements. Some of our friends who see everything as politics, so the government is paying people to go work on the president of the airport. It just doesn't make sense. I cannot call on them to stop, because that is their way of life, to politicize everything. Yeah, we are running a government. We are not in competition with anybody. The president is returned to the country, and all we said was that we encourage well-wishers to turn out to the service and to welcome the president. How does that amount to mandating people to go there? And one thing I've observed in this country at this point is that comprehension has become a problem for so many of our Maybe because their sense of reasoning have been blinded by politics. The president is the leader of the country. My good friend Johnny is the acting minister. When the president returned to the country, the media people were supposed to go in the airport to speak to the president. So Johnny should stay back. He didn't go there. He didn't carry the president go there. But that didn't deny the Liberian people the opportunity to hear from their leader. Who go to the airport, the general asked the president, Mr. President, I'm so much from reporting for DA News. Mr. President, we heard that you had bilateral with the Kuwaiti representative. What is in the bilateral? What came out of it for Liberia? Liberians will be listening to know what is sent to them. So every attempt to politicize every move in the country is not working. It's unfortunate for some of our friends who are living with the illusion that every day as of January 2024, moving into 2029, are politics. It's just unfortunate. So I'd like to set a record straight. As a government, no mandatory turnout at the airport. Everything you're hearing on social media that, oh, the government is doing this, the airport, President Baka is not in a competition with anybody. He is the president of the country. He's coming back to the country after being away for a week and a half. Of course, we need to take the journalist to the airport to speak with the president. Once it began wrong for an intercessory prayer to be organized in honor of the president. We listen to the radio every day. There are terrible things happening in the stars. If your president left the country, travel out, and is coming back and arrive safely, what is wrong with the God to say thank you for bringing our leader back safely? This thing about being political or everything is just annoying. That being said, the Ministry of Information notes a report released on yesterday by the Special Committee of Inquiry set up by the President of Liberia to investigate the incident that unfolded between the Minister of Information, Honorable Jeremiah Mapipia, and one Franklin Dolokoye, who is supposed to be the correspondent of Front Page Africa and OKFM. As a ministry, we note that the report clearly states that contrary to what was initially reported by Front Page Africa and OKFM, that Minister Pia did not assault journalist Franklin Dolokoye. He was erroneously written in two statements issued by Front Page Africa and OKFM. I read that again. As a ministry, we note that the report issued by the Committee of Inquiry established that Benny Pia did not assault Generally Franklin Dulopre, as was erroneously reported by both OKFM and Front-Page Africa. The report goes on to establish that there was no evidence of physical assault. However, the report said that the minister's tone of voice was intimidating and constituted coercion. Mr. Dulokwe reported the incident to OKFM and Front-Page Africa media outlets, which he corresponds for in Lima County. It was followed by condemnation, baseless condemnation from the two news outlets. Regrettably, OKFM and Front-Page Africa failed to formally complain to the PUL before releasing statement and publishing stories against Minister Pierre, the report noted. It also indicates that Front-Page Africa and some media outlets published a story without contacting the minister. While the findings brings to question ethical transgression by FPA and OKFM, as a ministry, we want to urge them all, including all media houses, to always stick to the ABC component of journalism, which will require you as a journalist to always verify the story by contacting all sides before hastily publishing or airing news that tend to erode the credibility and independence of the very media outlets we talk about. We warn that sensationalism in news reporting is a thing of the past and does not have a space in the new Liberia we are building. So, somebody is corresponding for you, they call and say, I was assaulted physically. Without delving into an investigative move to establish as to whether the information being provided is balanced or accurate, it's always a story. And I have always said that there are people here monitoring the activities of the country. A few days ago, we were arguing about the U.S. State Department report. The presidential press secretary only requested individuals who applied to cover the presidency say, please bring us your police clearance. Some people got vexed. They said that she was trying to censor the press. You wrote your story. The international people who said at the Bureau Embassy, they're not going to ask you what you go to. They assume that you are sticking to the ABC component of journalism. So when the U.S. State Department report came on Liberia, they indicted the press secretary and said she was censoring the video. Sometimes you overlook what you write. But what you write comes to magnitude. So it is not good that you balance a story. This is a minister of information. Somebody who has signed dossiers of permits for new media institutions. Somebody who is a friend of the media. And he's accused by your correspondent. You don't call him, you don't balance a story, just publish your headline. Minister of Information has sought Front-Page Africa reporter. That news headline is spilled milk or water. Once it is spilled, it cannot be recollected. So now the parent body of all journalists here, all the media institutions, they investigated and would like to commend the PUL. We commend the PUL That unlike in time past where people will try to use the microphone to blackmail officials of government, the leadership of the PL has distinguished herself. This leadership. But they are now saying that their own member was involved into ethical transgression. It's laudable. Let the report be used as a stepping stone for young journalists and media owners. You have to compel those who report for you, those who are in your employ, compel them to stick to the ethical requirements of the profession. I will not say more. On yesterday, the Liberia Electricity Corporation (LEC) announced the commencement of a 12-week project to electrify the RIA highway corridor with high-quality streetlights. The initiative runs on September 29 and is expected to be concluded with commissioning in the second third week of December 2025. It is intended to improve road safety for travelers and enhance visibility at corridors leading to the country's international airport. To ensure timely completion, 5 contracting companies have been assigned to specific lots across the corridor. Procurement of poles and materials for the project has already been finalized, and the shipments are arriving in the country. Civil works are now underway, with mobilization activities actively in progress. The management of the LEC emphasized that once completed ahead of the festive season, the project will restore vibrancy to the EFWA RIA corridor, which serves as the gateway to Liberia's international airport. The lighting system will provide a safer and more visible roadway for travelers, particularly during the nighttime hours, benefiting both international travelers and commuters of other countries. In addition, the LSC is undertaking ongoing electrification works in 2 rural communities, Dagoma and Zolowi towns in Lima County, on the CLSG Rural Electrification Project, which is funded by the African Development Bank. The Liberia Electricity Corporation noting that these towns, funded more than 40 to 60 years ago, had never before experienced electricity. The project covered 37 rural communities with more than 10,615 households expected to benefit. As part of the rollout, 1,500 streetlights have been installed, while customer metering is ongoing in 18 communities already energized. The LEC grid, once completed, will be managed by Jungle Energy Power, with MBH Power serving as the project implementer. The CLSG READ project seeks to connect rural communities and improve the quality of lives across 4 counties, including Lima, Bong, Rembasa, and Riverside County, to a 3-kilometer stretch of transmitter lines linking Yikipa, Botota, and Buchanan substation. Yesterday we witnessed Uh, the LDA taking receipt of some vehicles. I want to confirm that the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency has received a major logistical boost in fulfillment of government promise of providing more vehicles to that entity. They include 12 Toyota Hilux pickups, Toyota Land Cruiser, 2 Toyota Land Cruiser, 1 Toyota Fortuner. The vehicles are intended to enhance the LDA nationwide operations in the ongoing fight against the proliferation of illicit drugs across the country. Authorities at the LDA inform us that the new fleets will strengthen mobility, improve response time, and expand the agency reach in communities most affected by the drug crisis. The donation of the vehicle is a clear manifestation of the government's commitment to supporting law enforcement institutions in tracking drug-related crimes. The leadership described the initiative as a decisive step towards building a safer and drug-free Liberia. The Liberia Civil Aviation Authority has opened discussion with senior Egyptian aviation officials on expanding air connectivity and strengthening bilateral cooperation in the aviation sector of Liberia. The talks held on the sideline of the 42nd International Aviation Organization General Assembly in Montreal brought together LCAA representative, Egypt Minister of Aviation, and Captain Ahmed Asakaru, Director General of Egypt Civil Aviation Authority. The central focus of the meeting was the possibility of Egypt Air establishing direct flights between Liberia and Egypt. Such a route would significantly boost connectivity, trade, tourism, and diplomatic relations between the two nations while reinforcing Africa's intra-continental aviation link. I'd like to stop here and now